Hey, Egg Teacher Thoughts here. I had a question by email the other day about how do you know it's time to transfer your cuttings from 4-inch pots into the baskets. So one of the things I should probably talk about is that with my baskets, I know I've mentioned it before, but we go from plug tray to 4-inch pot and then from 4-inch pot into our hanging baskets. And there's a couple of reasons we do this. The first one is when you transfer that plug tray and you get it in from your vendor, they're in those plug trays side by side, right? There's very, very little airflow in between, and they're right next to each other. And there's a really high chance that you can get botrytis setting in your cuttings. So anywhere where the leaf has been damaged, or it's shaded, so it's starting to die, or there's any detritus in there, you can get, well, detritus would be your dead matter, and botrytis would be the fungus that sets in there. If you look back in the Latin, it has to do with being the shape of grapes. So if you looked at botrytis under a microscope, it's spherical, it's round. But that's where that name comes from. But anyway, we want to avoid botrytis, or damping off would be another common term for it, in our plug trays. So we want to separate those plants as quick as possible. But when we get them, they have a very small root system. You know, they might have 10 or 15 roots coming out of the bottom of the plug, or of the cutting, and it's really not enough, much. So if you think of a plug like a human baby, human babies don't eat much, they don't drink much, they just take small little baby portions. Our plugs that we have is the same deal. They take small baby portions. So if you put them right in a full-size basket, there's no way that those 5 little plugs can suck up all the moisture in that basket, to the point where the moisture is going to be constantly renewed in there. It's going to be overly wet. It's going to be likely that you might not get enough oxygen down to the roots. You might have botrytis set in. So we give them a container that's better suited for their size. So we put them in a 4-inch pot. And I know I've showed this before, but we put them in a 4-inch pot. There's where my cutting starts down there. And then about 5 to 6 weeks later, depending on your growth rate, we transfer it from a 4-inch pot up into our baskets. And these are some of our baskets here. These were potted up actually last week. So last week we were working on these, and this is actually the growth that we've gotten in a week. They're pretty large. They're a little light in color. I got to get a little bit more fertilizer on them, but they're pretty heavy right now. So I don't want to add any extra moisture to that. So it's Friday. It's a teacher in-service day, so I'm here without students. So I'll probably come in on Sunday and fertilize them again. Try to get that color up there. They're also due for a pinch right in through here. But the question, back to the main question, is when do we transfer over from the 4-inch pot into the basket? And again, that's about 5 to 6 weeks. Let me give you an idea. I have some of my cuttings that are kind of behind. Right here, this has the initial pinch. And then I have a secondary pinch there. So they're not quite ready for the third pinch. Here's another variety that's actually doing a little bit better. This one is over the size of what I'd want to transfer. So I would basically, let's look through here. In between these two sides is where I would transfer them across. Now the other thing is I would probably do that. See if we can get this phone to set up. Pardon me, I'm just going to take a guess of where that is. I'm really looking at the root ball and how good the root ball is at this time. Okay, so if you see that, there's roots all through this pot. It's pretty much holding the soil together. That means when I turn it over, it's going to hold together, and it's going to be easier to transfer. So that root ball is pretty well established in that pot. If we take a look at one of these smaller ones here, I can feel that. Now there are some roots there. I can feel it's a little bit Yeah, you could transfer this one up here, but it's not quite as well held together. But usually somewhere in between these two sizes is when I'm transferring it up. Okay, so if we looked at petunias, these are some of our petunias. This is a little bit over the size. Normally, once they're starting to reach the edge, you know, if the branches are this far and they've been pinched a couple of times, that's where I'd transfer them. This one is being held because we're doing some municipal size baskets. I actually need to pot this up because I don't have the containers yet, but this is over the size. This is too big. You know, I don't want them this size. This is actually like market size right now. And we are February 17th, I think, right now, or 18th. I can't remember which, but anyway, this is too big to transfer. I mean, you can still do it, but it's over the size that I like because I want it to be more manageable. There's a really well-established root ball. It's not going to fall apart. But the reason I don't like them this large is they're just hard to manage and you're more apt to damage parts of that plant. So anyway, the short answer is 5 to 6 weeks, or until it establishes a decent root ball and it's manageable. One of the other things to remember is it's okay to kind of let them go a little bit dry. That's going to force those roots down and encourage more root growth, which is going to hold that root ball together as you transfer them across. So those of you that are working on your baskets, hopefully they're about this big. You know, they're a good 9 inches hanging off the edge. These will all get pinched today. It's actually why I'm out in the house, is I'm going to go ahead and pinch those up. There's our hollyhocks down there. And these are some of the others. Okay, so yeah, it gives you an idea where my baskets are sitting at right now. And these are some of the other verbenas that we have here. They're more than enough size to transfer up to a bigger basket. I just don't have room for them right now. I would transfer them up into a straight verbena basket and put them outside, but we are going to be 4 degrees by the end of the week, or well, beginning of next week. So I don't want to risk them outside. So it's getting really crowded in here. But anyway, I hope that answers the question of when we transfer those up. And I'll shoot a couple more videos today and see what you think. All right, talk to you later.